11 climate activists have been arrested in Sydney this morning after they attempted to cause disruption in the CBD and Harbour Tunnel. Despite risking a $22,000 fine and 2 years in prison, the group known as Blockade Australia say it is just the beginning of a week of disruptive protests planned for the city.
Police arrested 11 protesters as a group of roughly 50 climate activists moved through the CBD, attempting to disrupt Monday morning peak hour traffic.
We are not unemployed, we are intelligent, educated, and we give a about the climate, and Sydney needs to change.
This frustrated motorist refused to stop for the protesters attempting to block an intersection on Bridge Street. Luckily, no one was hurt. A TV cameraman was reportedly injured as he was filming. A protester allegedly threw a milk crate behind him, causing him to fall. The protesters attempted to drag anything they could find into the middle of the road too. Bins, bikes, signs, milk crates and traffic dividers were used, but police were quick to move the obstacles out of the way.
There's no specific direction. They're just doing loops around the CBD, trying to cause as much disruption as possible. When they come to an intersection, they try and stay there as long as possible before police come and move them on.
At the same time, a 22-year-old woman from Lismore blocked the entrance to Sydney Harbour Tunnel southbound. In dramatic and dangerous scenes, she bike-locked her neck to the steering wheel, refusing to move. But she did post a video to Facebook, capturing verbal abuse from angry motorists.
Everyone stay up!
Like the other protesters arrested, she now faces a $22,000 fine and or 2 years in prison for illegally blocking a major road. Penalties that were increased earlier this year.
Sergeant Edwards, North Sydney Police is my name. You hop out of the car for us, thanks. You need to hop out of the car.
The group was spotted at Marrickville in Sydney's inner west over the weekend conducting drills in preparation for this week's demonstrations. Blockade Australia warns of similar action to come all week in Sydney, which means there's likely to be more traffic disruptions, frustrated commuters and police arrests. Kenny Heatley, Sky News, Sydney.
For more on this, I am now joined by the New South Wales Deputy Premier, Paul Toole. Deputy Premier, thanks for joining us. What is your reaction to those scenes we saw this morning?
Yeah, look, I'm absolutely furious as to what I've seen this morning, and so are many people that are just trying to get to work, people that are just trying to get their kids to school, people that are actually out there trying to make a decent and an honest day's living. And what we've actually got is these protesters that are out there. They're not helping their cause at the end of the day, and they're just causing disruption. And what really they are is nothing short of economic vandals. And this kind of action, these kind of behaviours will not be tolerated here in the state.
11 arrests were made. Do you expect charges to be laid?
Well, 11 arrests have been made, and I would expect the book to be thrown at each and every one of them. I mean, we had one individual who actually blocked the Harbour Tunnel this morning when people were actually trying to get to work. And let's be very clear, these are not placard holders. They are nothing short of professional pests. They don't care about people's daily lives. They don't care about people that are trying to make a daily living. And this kind of behaviour will not be tolerated. And that's why in New South Wales, we increased the penalties. We've now got up to 2 years imprisonment. We've got fines up to $22,000 for anyone that's blocking our major highways or our bridges or our rail networks here in the state. Now, really, at the end of the day, they've actually caused a lot of people to be angry because of their actions. And really, they're just not helping their cause in what they are trying to do.
This group, Blockade Australia, is threatening more disruptions this week. Will additional police resources be thrown at this?
Yeah, look, we've got a lot of police resources that have been out there on the ground. Only last week we actually, went into 2 training camps and we actually made quite a number of arrests. There was a lot of material that had been attained as well, and they'd been using these training camps for several weeks to try and practice to be as disruptive as they could over this week. Rest assured, our police are out there in full force. We've got police that are on the edge of the Harbour Bridge, on the edge of the Anzac Bridge. They're stationed all around the city. And very quickly, when we see these protests or any actions taking place, police are on the scene and are on the ground as quickly as possible. We've had the Pole Air helicopter in the skies today looking at what was happening around the city as well. So rest assured, our police will be out there in strength and they will not be tolerating these kinds of actions.
Sydney is certainly bracing for a week of industrial chaos with transport, nurses, teachers' unions. They're all taking action this week. Today is the final day that the state government can try and avert industrial action that will cause disruption to trains from tomorrow. Will the government try and avert this action? Will you be responding?
Well, look, I think when you have a look at New South Wales, this government's been very generous when it comes to wages. I mean, we're offering a 3% pay increase for wages for public servants. You've only got to have a look at other states. They're a lot less than 3%. Victoria is only offering 1.5%. So we've been very generous in acknowledging the work that our public servants do here in this state. And really, I hope that they actually reconsider their actions, because they do cause a lot of disruption. It impacts on people's daily lives, and it impacts on kids that are just trying to get to school. So I think we've had a lot in our lives over the past couple of years. These kind of actions, we certainly don't want to see them happening. We'll continue to talk with the unions. We'll continue to work in ways in which we can actually work together to avert these disruptions and these strikes. But at the end of the day, if they are going to go ahead, then they are certainly going to cause a lot of disruption to everyday people that are just trying to go about their business.
Unions say they simply will not stop until they get what they want. So should the people of New South Wales just get used to the fact that they could expect these rolling strikes?
Well, I hope we don't continue to see these rolling strikes, because they are problematic. And, when we see trains not operating, that means that people can't get that train to get to work. They can't get that train to get to school. They might be going in for a medical appointment and that train is no longer operational. And then you've got to find bus drivers to be able to put on the additional services. And that means that, there is a lot of disruption to the lives of people each and every day. We know that here in New South Wales, our pay increases are more generous than any other state here in this country. We are talking around 3%. It is a shame that the unions have come out and said that this is going to be a year of disruption. This is going to be the year of strikes. This is, not really acceptable. I mean, this is, impacting on so many people. And again, here in this state, we want to make sure that people can still go about their daily life. As a government, we've given them a very generous wage offer with the 3% this year and 3.5% next year. But what they are doing is certainly impacting on their cause when they continue to go down this path.
A busy week ahead, Paul Toole. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, Danica.